so thankful and excited to be here and excited to enjoy October. Good morning. It just absolutely feels like autumn here with all the crisp weather and leaves. I wasn't sure how much color change we would see in the leaves because it is early-ish October, but we've seen so many beautiful trees already. So we arrived late afternoon yesterday, so let me fill you in on everything we were able to squeeze in last night. Once we landed at LaGuardia, our first stop was to check into our hotel. We ended up staying at the Park Hyatt, New York, and it was absolutely lovely. This is an incredibly nice and fancy hotel. We were able to book it with our credit card points, which was absolutely fabulous, and our room was absolutely phenomenal. Super modern, sleek, and truly had all of the amenities that you could wish for. The bathroom tiles were heated. There was a TV incorporated in the mirror. It was out of this world. I don't think I've stayed at a 5-star hotel before, so it was just, we felt very spoiled. We felt like Eloise at the Plaza, but we were Brandon and Allison at the Park Hyatt. I will say, this location is great for a first-time visit to New York because you're super close to Times Square, Central Park. But for us, one thing that we've learned is that we love the Chelsea area and Soho. So next time we'll probably stay in Lower Manhattan, but yes, a really fabulous hotel and great location. I clearly was very excited about this TV on the mirror, and we watched Seinfeld while settling in. And then our first stop was the original soup kitchen, which is actually in an episode of Seinfeld, and we grabbed a couple bowls of soup from here, which was perfect for a rainy, cozy day in New York. And we took it to go and then walked over to Hudson Yard area and saw the vessel, which was really cool, and just ate our soup on a bench near there. It's a really nice area, and it's actually connected to the High Line, which is one of my favorite spots in the city. High Line is a public park that's over a mile long, and it's really neat because it's elevated. So you have this beautiful elevated and sleek walkway, and there's really beautiful sights along the way, and it connects to Chelsea Market, which is also one of my favorite spots in the city. And I was so excited to show Brandon these two spots because he had never been to either before, and Chelsea Market just feels so incredibly cozy. There's a bunch of different food halls, and often there's live music and art, and I just love the design of it. I find it to be quite an oasis, and at this point we were rather hungry, so we were having a hard time deciding where we wanted to eat because there were so many fabulous options, but we ended up eating at Very Fresh Noodles, which was out of this world. This meal, we still talk about it pretty much every day since our trip. It was just so unique than anything we had tasted before, and we even saw them making the noodles right there, very fresh, hence the name. So it was a really neat experience, and we just ate that outside and chatted in this outdoor seating area as we watched the rain. Ever had? Or are we just kidding? No, it's incredible. We were still a little hungry after our noodles because we just shared one entree. So we ended up going to a pizza place nearby and shared a pizza. And then for dessert, we went to this neat place called Abi and Ramsa, and this is an ice cream bar. And I mean that quite literally. So all of the different ice cream flavors are infused with alcohol. So this was really unique. And they actually have multiple locations in various cities, including Miami, which we didn't realize. But it's a really cool concept nondescript and definitely a well-designed atmosphere. The rain started picking up, but we ended up checking out Little Island more from a distance, and then we turned back because it started to really come down. And to cap off the night, we went over to the Starbucks Reserve Roastery, and this is directly across from Chelsea Market, and Little Island is pretty much across from both of these two spots. So it's really nice to kind of group them together and see it all at once. We first went to the Starbucks Reserve Roastery in Chicago and fell in love with it. So we were excited to check out the New York one. It was a nice place to wait out the rain before walking back to our hotel. Once we were back to the hotel, we decided to end the day by taking a hot bath, which felt so incredible, especially after our rainy day of traveling and exploring. And then today we have a full agenda, of course. We're kicking off with a new breakfast place that we've never tried, and then the Union Square Green Market, walk around some beautiful neighborhoods, and then we have lunch reservations and a latte art class later this afternoon. So really excited to explore and adventure around the city together. For breakfast, we ended up going to Little Collins Cafe, which was such a warm and inviting place to start the day. It actually is an Australian cafe, and they have such a fabulous menu. We ended up sharing some buttermilk pancakes and a sandwich. We love to always share a sweet and savory item so that we can have a little bit of both, a little taste test. And the coffee was really delicious, so that was truly a great way to kick off the day. Our next destination after breakfast was the Union Square Green Market, which I always try to go to when visiting New York. If you know Brandon and I, we are farmers market lovers, so it's always a treat to experience different farmers markets in various cities. So on our way to the market, we stopped by Gramercy Park, which is a really affluent and beautiful neighborhood, and saw some of the beautiful Halloween decorations. So that was a great pit stop. And then we strolled around the market for a bit. It was so cute because we went on a Friday, and it looked like there were quite a few students in classes there doing a bit of a scavenger hunt at the market, which was just adorable to witness these city kids living their best life. Since we had our coffee class this day, we squeezed in an early lunch at Sarah, which is on the rooftop of Italy Flatiron, and this spot specifically drew me in because of their autumn overlay. During the autumn season, they transform this space to feature all of the autumnal colors, and they decorate it so beautifully. It's almost like you're in a rooftop greenhouse, and they have a pretty expansive Italian menu. We were eating pretty early, like I said, because of our latte class, so we didn't have a huge appetite because we ate breakfast not too long ago. So we just grabbed a couple of salads and some bread. It was yummy, but mainly the draw for us was the ambiance. Then we were off to our latte art class, and this was a bit of a roller coaster, unfortunately. I was really looking forward to this latte art class. I was hunting for the perfect one and stumbled on this class and truly couldn't stop talking about it because it's been something I wanted to do for quite some time. So we walked through the doors, and essentially the staff there, they forgot they had a class today, which was such a bummer. And they were basically saying, oh, I'm sorry, like there was miscommunication, whatnot. So we were so bummed, but of course it happens, that's life. But the latte art teacher was actually there. Her name's Emily, and she, after a little while, she decided, okay, I'm just gonna try to, show you some demonstrations and stuff because we're already right here. And, they felt really poorly about it, and so she ended up spending over an hour with us, teaching us all of her tricks and giving us super helpful and insightful tips and hands-on experience. So I'm so grateful for her. She's so incredibly talented, and even though it wasn't exactly what we were expecting or hoping for, she really went above and beyond to try to make it special for us. So we really appreciated that, and we were able to get some practice. So hopefully as we make our at-home lattes, we'll be able to elevate them and take them to the next level. After our improvised coffee class, we ended up going to Urban Backyard, which is a coffee shop that we passed as we were scurrying over to the class. I saw it and just thought it looked so captivating with the beautiful design. And we grabbed a pumpkin spice latte and Brandon grabbed a cold brew, and we sipped on that as we walked over to Central Park. On our way, we stopped in Levan Bakery, which is probably my top 5 favorite spots in New York. They actually have other locations now too. I know they have a location in Boston because my cousin works there, which is neat. And these cookies are truly just the best of the best. I am biased, I will say, because chocolate chip cookies are my number 1 favorite dessert of all time. So they truly speak to me, but they have so many delicious flavors and are just tried and true. They hit the spot every single time. So we munched on the cookies, which gave us a bit of pep in our step, and strolled through Central Park. We stumbled upon the Central Park Zoo, which was neat and surprising to see animals in the middle of the city. Next up on the agenda was visiting the Morgan Library and Museum, and it actually was the personal library of J.P. Morgan, who was an extremely successful financier, and the name may sound familiar because of J.P. Morgan Chase, which is still a super prevalent and prosperous company even today. We were especially drawn to this museum because of the library. The collection of books is just astounding. In this collection, there are so many versions of the Bible, which was fascinating to see. And in JP Morgan's former study, he actually had a vault which featured all of the most precious and invaluable books so that they would be protected from fire, flood, etc., which was fascinating to see. And fun fact, on Friday nights, you can actually get free admission to this library, so that's what we ended up doing. Just make sure you reserve tickets ahead of time. For dinner, we ended up going to Carmine's, which is near Times Square and near where our hotel is located. So it was nice and convenient, and we were able to get a table fairly quickly. This restaurant feels incredibly New York and iconic. It is quite the vast space, and everything is served family style, so the portions are ginormous, especially for just us two, so keep that in mind. But it was quite tasty, and while we were waiting for our table before we sat down to enjoy our meal, we strolled through Times Square. And wow, I really do not need to go to Times Square again anytime soon. I find it to be truly overwhelming. I think it is one of those places that everyone should experience at least once in their life because it is so infamous and well known and notorious for being a symbol of New York. So I think it's definitely worth putting on your bucket list, but not something that I need to visit every time I come to the city. I kept saying to Brandon and my friends that I find New York City to be both incredibly magical and magnetic, but also a little miserable at the same time. It is, of course, the stereotypes are true that it is very fast-paced and quite crowded, so there's a lot going on seemingly at all times of the day. So it can be a little overwhelming to someone like me who prefers a more peaceful atmosphere. However, it is so unique and special and truly a one-of-a-kind place that keeps you coming back for more. We are back home to the room. Thank goodness. We've had such a full day. We're a little exhausted, to be honest, but it was an adventurous day. I'll just say that. We had some really beautiful and special moments and some more draining moments, but that's travel for you. And especially in New York, love New York for what it is, but it is an interesting, high pace, a lot going on. So it's a little overstimulating for me, but we're enjoying it. We're just filling in as much as we can. We had such a full day. If anything, I think tomorrow we should carve out more resting time because, we've just been going nonstop. I think I haven't checked my phone. Last time I checked my phone this afternoon, we walked over 10 miles, so we probably ended up walking 12 or 13 miles, which is just crazy. We're definitely going to take the subway a little bit more tomorrow so that we can conserve our energy. But overall, a really sweet day and looking forward to tomorrow. Good morning. We are feeling refreshed after a glorious night's rest, and we had a bit of a slow morning, which was really, really lovely. And today's agenda, we don't have as many concrete plans, which is really nice, so we can sort of take our time, leisurely stroll around and see what calls our name. And I feel like we're kind of going on a unofficial food tour of Soho. We're gonna start off with some Russ and Daughters Cafe, some Leon's Bagels. We're just gonna be trying all of the things, going to a fancy French bakery to try these croissant donut type things. I'm really excited. So we are going to be exploring Soho, and then we're gonna make our way over to the Brooklyn Bridge, walk along that, explore Brooklyn for a little bit, and then head back this way. So that's the agenda for today, and looking forward to it. We took the subway over to Soho and grabbed a bagel from Leon's. This is a really cute spot and a great area to stroll around. We wanted to grab a full breakfast from Russ and Daughters Cafe, but unfortunately the wait time was a bit too long, so we decided to try another iconic spot, and we went over to Kat's Deli. This was such an experience. There were so many people just excited to enjoy this food, and just the whole production of this deli is really, really interesting. Kat's is known for their pastrami and other Jewish deli classics, so Brandon grabbed a sandwich, and then I grabbed some latkes, which I adore latkes, served with sour cream and applesauce. It's so, so good. And it was just really fun to sit here and enjoy the buzz of it all. After our lunch, we walked over to the Seaport, which has a stunning view of the Brooklyn Bridge. And I didn't realize there would be so much activity here, but there was actually a festival going on, which was fun to see. It was a food festival, so there were tons of incredible food options. And there's also this really neat building called the Tin Building with a bunch of different markets, food vendors, flowers, bakeries, coffee, truly everything you could wish for. And it was stunningly designed, and I could so see us spending our Saturdays here if we lived in the city. After our time at the Seaport, we decided to trek along the Brooklyn Bridge for a bit. During the time frame that we went on the bridge, it was mid-afternoon on a Saturday, so needless to say, it was quite packed, which to me was a little overwhelming, but we did get to experience the beautiful views, and we went about halfway before turning back. The original plan was to spend some time in Brooklyn because I do love Brooklyn. Next time we might even stay in Brooklyn because I feel like there's so much to explore over there, but we were on a bit of a time crunch, and honestly we were just tired of walking so much, so we headed back to NoHo and got in line at Lafayette Bakery for their famous and viral round croissants. We actually popped by Lafayette's on the way to the deli earlier in the day and didn't realize that if you wanted to try one of these round croissants, you actually need to show up early before one of their 3 daily drops. They bake 120 of these croissants 3 times a day, and it's not guaranteed that 120 will be available because, of course, during the baking process, there's the chance that there might be cracking or, something might go awry. So that was something interesting to learn. And since we were headed back in that area anyways, we figured we would just wait it out and give them a try. We ended up waiting a little over an hour for them, which we didn't expect to do that, but we were too far in, and I'm so pleased to say that they were worth it. They were so delectable, absolutely scrumptious, and of course, the whole design of them is so impressive and innovative, and we've never had anything like like it. So I'm super thankful we got to try them. On this night, we ended up having dessert before dinner, which I love to do. And then we went over to Gazab, which is this fabulous Indian spot. I'm so glad we found this gem. It is quite a small restaurant, so I do recommend reserving a table if this is a place you really want to go to. Thankfully, since we ended up going around 5 p.m., we were able to grab a table before they filled up for the night, and we had a beautiful meal of tikka masala and some appetizers. Then we walked over back to the Chelsea area and strolled through Little Island a bit more because on our first night it was quite a blustery day, so we didn't get to explore the island to the full extent. So we enjoyed it, saw their little immersion experiences, and then we also got to see our friend Katie and catch up with her a bit at Chelsea Market. She just moved to the city a month ago, so it was really fun to see her and hear about her first month in New York. Super full day. We bopped all over town and we are so tired. It was a sweet day though. What was your number one favorite part of today? Or a couple highlights?
Little Island was cool.
Little Island, yeah, Little Island is super neat. And I really loved this seaport. It has an incredible view of the water and the Brooklyn Bridge, and there's this indoor food court called the Tin Room. That was gorgeous with so many different restaurants and little market areas. So I feel like that is a must do that I'll have on my list every single time.
Yeah, that's cool. I forgot about that.
We're gonna get some rest, and tomorrow's our last morning, and the plan is to stroll around Central Park, get some coffee, and just take in the last bit of New York City.
Take your time, fall in line someday. It's hard to win, hard to pin one day. I look out for you to soothe away the blues in your eyes. Take a stand, move your hand someday. No disguise one day. I look out for you to soothe away the blues in your eyes. In your eyes.
Most glorious way to cap off our trip. I'm so glad we did that. I forgot how incredibly expansive it is and enchanting. It's so mystical with all the little nooks and crannies and bridges and really beautiful spots. So such a beautiful way to end the trip. I really hope you all enjoyed this vlog. We're sort of scurrying to pack up our things and head to the airport, but I hope you enjoyed exploring New York with us and cannot wait to see you next. Bye!
Bye!